You heard this classic country song 1,000 times. You sang it in the car, word for word, note for note. And then one day you realized you had absolutely no idea who sang it. These artists had the chart position, the radio play, the audience of millions. And then Nashville moved on. They did not. This countdown spans 3 decades of classic country, from the back roads of the 60s to the neon dance floors of the 80s. Every name on this list gave America a song it could not stop singing, and every single one of them watched the machine move on without them. Stay with us through number 3, where a woman from Mississippi asked one question the entire country spent years arguing about. And when we get to number 1, you will discover the most historic chart achievement in country music history, performed by a woman whose name almost nobody can place today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because every week we go deeper into the forgotten stories and disappeared voices behind the music that built country. This knowledge belongs with the fans. Here are 10 classic country one-hit wonders you completely forgot, counting down from the deeply underrated to the absolutely iconic. Number 10. Jim Stafford, Spiders and Snakes. The novelty king who sneaked into country radio and made the whole country laugh out loud in 1974. Country radio did not play joke songs. Then Jim Stafford walked in with a story about a boy trying to gross out a girl with reptiles, only to discover she liked them. The song hit the top 5 on both the country and pop charts simultaneously. Stafford had the timing of a stand-up comedian and the instincts of a writer who knew exactly what made listeners hit the rewind button. Music history has since confirmed what was obvious from the start. Novelty country crossovers almost never survive the follow-up single. Nashville filed Jim Stafford under lightning that did not strike again. The song itself has lost nothing, and the payoff line lands exactly the same way it did in 1974. If you are old enough to have heard it on the radio, it is already playing in your head right now. Number 9. Billie Jo Spears, Blanket on the Ground. The song that crossed the Atlantic and broke 2 charts before Nashville had figured out what it was dealing with. Billie Jo Spears was a working country singer from Beaumont, Texas, not a crossover act by anyone's definition. In 1975, she released a song about a married couple choosing to romance each other the way they did before life became ordinary. It climbed to number 1 on the country chart, and then it crossed to the United Kingdom and became a genuine pop hit there too. That did not happen for working country singers from Beaumont in 1975. Decades later, the receipts are clear. The song landed because what it said was simply true. Marriage had a chance to feel like the beginning again if 2 people just decided it did. Nashville never found Spears another vehicle to match it, and the sentiment on that record has never dated. It's almost certainly a song your parents knew every word to without ever knowing the name attached. Number 8. Billy Swan, I Can Help. The most irresistibly simple record to simultaneously top both the country and pop charts in the mid-70s. Billy Swan was not a performer in the conventional sense. He had spent years in the background playing keyboards for Chris Christopherson and writing songs for other people. And then he sat down and wrote the most deceptively uncomplicated record in his catalog. I Can Help runs on a keyboard riff a child could replicate. The lyric is a single repeated offer, and the production is raw, unhurried, almost rough around the edges. Nothing about it was engineered to top both charts simultaneously, and yet it did exactly that. The numbers have since confirmed what the sales made plain. Swan's gift was restraint, knowing that the simplest hook is often the most durable one. The industry had no clean category for a background musician who wrote one perfect pop country record and returned to the shadows. That song is probably the one you knew every word to and could never put a name to in a lineup. Number 7. Terry Gibbs, Somebody's Knockin'. The voice that stopped country radio cold in 1981 and then disappeared just as fast. Terry Gibbs was blind from birth and had been playing piano since the age of 3. By the time she recorded Somebody's Knockin', She had spent years performing in clubs and roadhouses without a label deal. The song, a woman standing at her door weighing the temptation on the other side, was delivered with a smoky, controlled quality that had no obvious comparison on country radio at the time. The performance earned her a Grammy nomination, and the record crossed onto the pop chart and made genuine noise. Music history has since confirmed what listeners in 1981 already knew, that voice belonged in a far larger conversation than the format's gatekeepers were prepared to have. Her follow-up singles charted modestly, and the machine moved on. That debut record still sounds like nothing else from that era, and somewhere in your memory, you know exactly what it sounds like. Number 6. The Kendalls. Heaven's Just a Sin Away. The father and daughter duo who won a Grammy and a CMA award, and whose names almost no one alive today can place without being reminded. If you're starting to see the pattern in this list, the hit arrives, the machine moves on, the name disappears, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach the people who genuinely care about this music. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. We're here every week. Royce and Jeannie Kendall were from St. Louis, and they'd been making records for years on independent labels with no real promotional weight behind them. In 1977, Heaven's Just a Sin Away changed the entire picture. The song, Desire and Temptation wrapped in a melody so pure it felt almost devotional, climbed to number 1 on the country chart. That year, the Country Music Association named it Single of the Year, and the following year, the Recording Academy awarded it the Grammy for Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group. 2 of the genre's highest honors in a 12-month window. Their follow-up singles charted respectably, but none came close. That harmony is sitting somewhere in your memory right now, waiting for you to put a name to it. Number 5. Red Sovine. Teddy Bear. The most emotionally devastating record in the history of CB radio country. The mid-70s trucking craze gave country music several memorable records, a golden age of country storytelling that ran parallel to the outlaw country movement reshaping Nashville at the same time. None of them landed the way Teddy Bear landed. The setup is plain. A disabled boy sits at a CB radio because his father, a truck driver, was killed in an accident. He calls himself Teddy Bear, and he talks to the truckers passing through his frequency. The community rallies around him. Red Sovine does not sing the song. He speaks it, in a plain, unhurried voice that builds toward a final verse that left country listeners who had heard 1,000 records in genuine trouble. Music history has since confirmed the reach. Teddy Bear became one of the fastest-selling country singles of its decade. Sovine had been recording since the 1950s, and he never had another moment like it. The record was played at funerals and trucking memorials for years. In some places, it still is. Number 4. Johnny Lee. Lookin' for Love. The song that defined a generation of Saturday nights, until the moment it was simply everywhere, and then quietly was not. In 1980, Urban Cowboy made Gilley's Honky Tonk in Pasadena, Texas, the center of American popular culture for approximately 18 months. Johnny Lee was a regular there, a friend of Mickey Gilley's, a working musician who had spent years on the circuit without a charting single. The film's soundtrack changed everything. Lookin' for Love went to number 1 on the country chart and into the top 5 on the pop chart, and it was in department stores, at school dances, in every car with a radio that summer. Music historians have since confirmed what the sales figures always showed. It was one of the defining country crossover records of its era. Lee had modest follow-up success, but nothing approached the original. The Urban Cowboy moment passed. That song is still the one that sends an entire room straight back to 1980 in a single chorus. You knew every word then, and you still do. Number 3. Bobbie Gentry. Ode to Billie Jo. The song with the most debated, unanswered question in the history of American popular music. In the summer of 1967, a 22-year-old songwriter from Chickasaw County, Mississippi, cut a record she had written in 15 minutes on the drive to the session. Ode to Billie Jo told the story of a family at the dinner table discussing the fact that Billie Jo McAllister had jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge that morning. While the narrator quietly carried the weight of a secret, the song never explains. What did Billie Jo throw off that bridge? Gentry never said. The record sat at #1 on both the country and pop charts for 4 straight weeks and became one of the biggest-selling singles of that year. Capitol Records received thousands of letters demanding the answer. Gentry continued recording into the early 70s with genuine success, then withdrew from public life entirely. History has since confirmed what anyone who's heard the song already knows. The mystery is the mechanism. The song works because it refuses to close. You'll look it up tonight, and you'll discover you already know every word. Number 2. C.W. McCall, Convoy. The trucking anthem that topped the charts in 2 countries spawned a Hollywood film and was performed by a man who had never driven a truck in his life. In 1975, CB Radio was the communication network running through the cabs of 18-wheelers across America. C.W. McCall captured that world in a song about a convoy refusing to pull over for police and way stations, cramming slang, handles, geography, and attitude into 3.5 minutes. It went to #1 in the United States and crossed the Atlantic for a top 5 finish in the United Kingdom. A Sam Peckinpah film followed in 1978. Here's what music history has since confirmed. C.W. McCall was Bill Fries, an advertising executive from Omaha, Nebraska, who created the character for a bread company commercial campaign. There was never a truck driver named C.W. McCall. The most famous trucking record of the 1970s was a marketing persona that accidentally became a genuine cultural moment. Fries later became the mayor of Ouray, Colorado, a small mountain town of several hundred people. That song is already in your head whether you intended it to be or not. Number 1. Jeannie C. Riley, Harper Valley PTA. The record that made history on 2 charts in the same week, performed by a woman whose name almost no one alive today can place without being reminded. In September of 1968, Harper Valley PTA became the first single in recorded history to debut at #1 on both the country and pop charts simultaneously. Written by Tom T. Hall, the song told the story of a widow called before the local parent-teacher association for her lifestyle choices, who then stood up and named every hypocrite in the room one by one. It was a 2-minute rebellion, and it was the first record to reach #1 in country music history from a position of open, unapologetic defiance. That chart achievement would not be repeated until Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 debuted at the top of both charts in 1981. Jeannie C. Riley was 23 years old, from Anson, Texas, working as a secretary at a Nashville publishing house just blocks from the Country Music Hall of Fame. Not a signed act, not a priority for anyone. Plantation Records released the single with no expectation it would move beyond regional radio. The record sold over 1 million copies in the first month and 6 million copies globally. Music history has since confirmed what September of 1968 already proved. Every town had a Harper Valley, and every town had a woman who had had enough of being judged by people who deserved it far more than she did. Riley became a born-again Christian in the early 70s and stepped away from the mainstream country world she had briefly redefined. The song endures. It's the one you've known every word to since before you could remember who sang it. Now you know. If you made it to the end of this list, you have just been reintroduced to 10 voices that classic country forgot it owed something to. Every single one of them gave the format a song it played into the ground, and then the format moved on and forgot the name. The machine did that. Not you. You remembered the melody. You remembered every word. You just forgot, for a moment, who was standing in front of the microphone. Smash that like button if this list brought even one of those names back, and drop a comment below. Are you Team Jeannie C. Riley? Team C.W. McCall? Team Bobbie Gentry? I read every comment, and I genuinely want to know which one you had completely let go of. If you have not subscribed to the Country Cut yet, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Every week we go deeper into the forgotten stories, the disappeared voices, and the hidden machinery behind the classic country music that made the genre what it is. I would love to have you on this journey with us. Remember, the most unforgettable song is not always the one they kept playing. Sometimes it is the one they stopped.